Hello and welcome to a sweaty You're Not Alone. Oh man. Tonight we're going to talk about advocating for yourself. And I'm going to tell you 3 different stories. And I want you to use these stories to guide yourself. Now, I can tell you I've lived a life of the smaller guy who is very thin and a big muscular guy. I can tell you, being a big muscular guy, there are downfalls to it. People do watch their mouth around you in your presence, and trust me, I've seen a lot of people back up. Weirdest shit I've ever experienced. So here are the 3 stories. The first story starts when I first hurt my back. I knew it first. I hadn't known what had caused it. There we go. Welcome back. Sorry about that. So I hadn't known what caused it at first. I had been doing something and slowly lost the feeling in my arms. I couldn't actually lift my arms, and it was starting to get a lot of back pain. And everyone wrenched their back at one point or another. This was different. It was pure pain in my arms. So I honestly didn't know what had just happened. It took me a little bit to sit and think about it, and then I realized I had felt a pop, but nothing happened initially. Turns out that pop was not just a herniated disc, but an exploded disc. That was it. The disc fucked itself up and put a lot of pressure on my upper back. The upper back would lead to pain to my lower back, as the spasms would wind up injuring my lower back, because the spasms were really freaking bad. And I went to work for 3 or 4 days because the doctors gave me Vicodin and said go back to work. Then I got basically sent home, told to go see a doctor. The doctor told me not to go back to work for a couple weeks, and I didn't go back to work. So a couple weeks later, I returned to work, and it was funny because I go back to work and I come back out right away because there's another problem, and I'm off for a week. And the doctor who I'm seeing goes, and we had a nice relationship at that point. And the doctor looks at me and goes, and this was a general practitioner, it was probably my fault for going there, but insurance, you have to start somewhere. She told me, she looks at me, she's like, do you just want more time off of work? And I went from being a very nice person to really probably being scary me. And I told her, no, I want you to figure out what's wrong with me. There's a pill that can make me great again. Give me that pill, I'll go back to work tomorrow. This isn't about time off of work, this is about being able to sleep. Because I truly hadn't slept for weeks at that point. I was getting maybe an hour to 2 hours of sleep at a time. It was so painful. So she suddenly realizes something's wrong, sends me to a specialist, get my first MRI. They read the MRI in a completely, I'm not even a doctor, and I can tell you I could see screwed up parts. But he sends me to physical therapy. I do 6 weeks of physical therapy, and I'm feeling somewhat better. There's still pain and all this, but I'm figuring, all right, maybe I don't need surgery. Now, when this first happened, I felt like I fucked myself up. I felt like I needed surgery. And I knew I was hurt. But I trusted doctors. Because what the hell did I know, right? It's just my body. So I trusted them. I took their pain medicines. Kept giving it to me. Go to this guy, he gives me Vicodin. And Cody somehow gets mixed in, or one of them. Might have been Percocet. Either way, I'm now on all this shit. And I'm on 2 medical prescriptions and Advil. And I'm basically numbing myself to be able to function in society. So I go back to work. Get injured again when I was trying to open the back of a semi-truck's trailer. Something falls in the door as I'm lifting it up, blow out the last of what was left of my lower back on the disc. And we have 2 different MRIs, and you can see there was the disc. It was a little damaged, but it was there, and then that one was gone, and the one above it was gone. This should have triggered me to have emergency surgery, because what you can't see on the MRI is that there are shards of bone inside of me. Workman's comp would drag their feet and wait a year before I got surgery. It was finally ordered by the court that I have surgery. When they went in, they dug out parts of my actual bones from my spine, and I have nerve damage now for the rest of my life. Story number one. My doctor said, well, why didn't you tell me you were in pain? I said I had. Every time you asked me, I told you I was in a 7 or 8. He's like, you had bones in your spine. What do you expect a 9 and 10 to feel like? I'm like, honestly, worse. And there were points where I couldn't stand up. And to this date, I still have sciatic nerve problems where I cannot tell you how much torture it is to walk. But apparently, I'm one of those human beings that can get shot and still walk around because my pain threshold is off the chart. My doctor calls me my back doctor calls me a psychopath for wanting more physical therapy. But he admitted I had asked for surgery early on and said I knew I fucked something up really bad. So he said I hadn't made it clear enough that I was in pain. And he said, looking back at it, he's like, I'm telling you right now, you got to sell the pain. He's like, I know it sounds stupid, but if you're not whining and crying about it, they won't take you serious. So that's story number one. Story number two has to do with me going to a few months before that. I have a giant laceration on my leg because of people at work being stupid as always. It's a giant laceration on the back of my leg. Didn't need stitches, but the only reason I didn't need stitches, apparently the doctor thinks it was because my back leg was so muscular at the time. It had stopped the skin from actually ripping by having the muscle go against it, and it was tight enough because of the jeans I was wearing. But it had done damage to the muscle. I remember I get in there and I tell the doctor I'm sweating a little bit, I have a little bit of a fever, and the doctor looks at me and says, your heart rate's a bit elevated and your blood pressure's a little high. She's like, what's going on? I was like, well, I got a cut on the back of my thigh, and I was like, it's kind of hurting me. And it feels inflamed and reddish, so I just wanted to know if I should be taking like an antibiotic or something like that. So she tells me, okay, pull down your pants, let me see it. Because it's on the back of my thigh, and I'm up in New York, and it's winter, so, well, it was like spring months, but we were wearing pants. So I pull it down, show it to her. First time a doctor says, holy shit. She looks at it, finds out I have MRSA on the back of my leg. She says, why didn't you go to emergency room? She's like, how are you walking on this? Wrote me out for like a week of work. I didn't bother taking it. Took, I think, like the prescription pills. That side effects were worse. Took 2 of them and just was like, all right, I'm done. This is not the smartest me. But I went back to work because, and she thought I had a broken ankle, made me get an x-ray. Apparently my ankle was all swollen and something. But she was amazed again about the pain. So doctors don't take you serious. Third story, recently, towards the end of last year, Jax jumps up on my back and he jumps on my neck like a kid does to their dad. But he didn't catch himself. He went too fast, too hard. And when he jumped on, he really hurt my neck. Like I felt something almost move. And I instantly couldn't feel my hand the right way, pins and needles and all that shit. I made him get off, and since then he's never done it. Like he's never even tried to do it. So he must realize, like I must have reacted in a way. It made him realize that something went wrong, and he's never tried again. And it's been months. So that tells you how this moment must have gone. Because all I remember is like I had trouble breathing for a few seconds because it hurts so much. You know when you're in that much pain? And my numbness. And then I started getting headaches. And I reached out to like one of those telemedicine ones to begin the process down here. This is still during the whole COVID thing in 2021. And it was another outbreak time. So I started with that. They told me I probably pinched a nerve. And because of my history with all the neck, there is damage to my neck and there's damage to my upper back. They said it wasn't uncommon to just let it go and take Advil as needed. And if it got worse or that, and then I tried that and then went back, and it was a hard road for a while. And about March, I finally realized I had to step back from a lot of what I was doing and I took some time off to try to figure some stuff out. And basically no one wanted to give me an MRI. They thought this was the future of my neck. And I almost like kind of started believing them. Like maybe this was it. Like my back is fucked up, and you know, I know that I'm heading towards a wheelchair. Maybe this is just normal progression, and no one wanted to really do an MRI because it wasn't constant in the pinched nerve. They basically thought that it was just because of the disc, and neck surgery you don't really want to do if it's not too serious. And, you know, my insurance company just didn't want to basically deal with it and was playing the game. So it was, do the Advil, do you want a prescription medicine? And I don't do the narc stuff. I don't want to be on Percocet or that. So I say no. So this year I got myself an adjustable bed. Because, you know, I figure I'm going to be a cripple now. It's only going to get worse. Let me get a bed that helps me in and off. And I started feeling better. Like it was helping. So one night, I'm sleeping on this new bed, and I hear this sound coming from my neck. It scared the hell out of me. Turned out, I from when I've talked to the doctors recently, I had slipped my disc and put it on top of my nerve. This would have been seen if anyone had given me an x-ray, but why do that? Because after all, I have injury to my neck, so fuck me, I guess. I didn't make enough noise. I didn't advocate for myself. What I've learned through this whole process is you have to become an asshole and advocate for yourself. Make sure you're being treated the way you want your family to be treated. And remember, you're not alone. You're just a message away from someone who cares, and that includes me. And care about yourself and advocate for yourself. Because now, no more numbness. Maybe if I had said more, done more, I would have gotten more treatment. And that's me sharing with you.